Yo, yo, yo. Make some noise one more time for our esteemed panel here, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a question. Are y'all having a good time today? Are y'all having a good time today? That's what I'm talking about. ICBC, we've got Berlin coming up. We'll see you guys there. It was a beautiful day today. We'll see you at the after party. We've got a legend in the house today. We'd like to do this to you at the ICBC and bring you legendary characters and cultural icons, not only in the cannabis space, but in the artistic space. And we have a hip-hop legend here today, DJ Muggs of Cypress Hill, House of Pain, and Soul Assassins. So please give a big welcome to Ngaio Bealum and DJ Muggs. Give it up, y'all. Come on, make some noise with DJ Muggs. What's up? What's up?
How you feel? Let's hear it for Alex Rogers and the entire ICBC crew. Oh, having a good day. Well, these chairs are very comfortable.
Check, check, check.
You good?
I'm really good. How
This
y'all
is
feeling?
DJ Muggs.
What's happening? What's happening?
Cypress Hill. Maybe you've heard of them. Maybe you've heard of them. They've had some hits. They've been on TV. You were telling me earlier this is your 17th time in Barcelona?
Yeah, I've been coming to Barcelona since 1988. You know, spent a lot of time here, did a lot of tours here, did a lot of shows. We'd be on tour and have 3 or 4 days off, so we'd come to Barcelona. You know, we'd argue sometimes. Some of the guys would want to be in Amsterdam, some of the guys would be in Barcelona. So we'd split, and then we'd meet up again in Germany for the next show.
That's important to spend time apart from each other when you're on the road like that.
Yeah, when you have like 10 grown men on a bus, which basically is a 1-bedroom apartment. You know,
I can only imagine the smell.
You need a little break after when you're on there for 6 weeks.
Right, right. So what have you noticed any changes since 1988 in Barcelona? Has the weed gotten better or their clubs cooler?
The weed's got amazing. There was a lot of fucking dirt weed out here, but you know, we would smuggle it in from Amsterdam, and we used to put it in the radio and put it in the cassette and put coffee around it, and you know, anything we can do to smuggle weed around. You know what I mean? And but the weed's got amazing out here. The clubs are amazing. You know, it's nice to be able to just go and get some good weed down the block and just.
Isn't it? It's just nice to pop into the local. Do you have any favorite clubs?
HQ was good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A couple other spots I popped in, so I can't remember all the names.
Because you're high, you can't remember all of them. Choco, HQ, La Colada.
Yeah.
G13, Terpy.
Terp was good, man. Terp
Yeah.
had some bomb-ass weed. You know,
Strain Hunters.
Terp Army was fire.
Fire. So since Cypress Hill has been around since 1988, or is that when you were in 7A3?
Yeah, my first group before Cypress Hill was a group called 7A3, and you know,
we got the picture up there on the wall. Right there.
That was 88. We had a song in the movie Colors. We was on tour with MC Hammer.
Wow.
And on tour with Salt and Pepper, on tour with Today, Tony. So we did, you know, world tour and a bunch of big stadium tours back then.
You ever challenge Hammer to a dance-off?
Yeah, I didn't win though.
Did you dance when you were in 7A3?
I did the running man. I was a motherfucking running man, Roger Rabbit motherfucker, boy. Yeah, we did the WAP too. Remember the WAP?
Sorry. I just can't imagine the Soul Assassins doing the WAP.
Man, we like to have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it's time to party, we party.
So
when it's time to do business, we do business.
When you joined Cypress Hill, was it a conscious decision to be very Canna-centric?
Well, I actually was down with Cypress before 7A3.
Okay.
You know, that was my hood. That was where we was from.
So you knew all those cats growing up, or from California?
I met them in like 80 from California. We was selling weed together. We was all selling weed, hustling, doing our thing, you know. And then I met these guys from Brooklyn, and they had a song out called 7A3 Will Rock You, which was just a single. They was down with Ice-T, and I was throwing a party, and I was like, do you guys want to come and play at my party? So they came, and the DJ didn't show up, and I stepped in, and I became the DJ that night, and they said, we have 3 shows with Ice-T next week. You want to do the shows with us? So I went, I did the shows, and then 2 weeks later, we was in the studio doing a song called Mad Mad World for the movie Colors.
Okay.
Which was my first gold record in 1988.
Nice. I remember that album.
About a couple months later, we got a record deal. We got signed to Geffen Records, and album came out in '89. You know, and we was out. We was out and start doing world tours. And
that.
I told the Cypress guys, I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna go figure this music business thing out and I'm gonna bring it all back. So I would just always come back, oh, I learned this and I learned this. We need a logo, we need a concept, we need this. Like the first time they told me, do you have a logo? I didn't know what the word was and what it meant. And what was your concept, you know? But I took all the knowledge I gained and brought it back to the hood.
Yeah, okay. So marketing, is that the advice you give the young musicians? I always give the young comics that advice. They were like, if you had anything to do, I'd be like, take a marketing class.
This was before YouTube and all that, you know what I mean? It was like hands-on. If you didn't know anybody back then, you was fucked, you know what I mean? Now you can just go online and look at it all up, but you know, you had to be in the trenches. You had to go to the parties. I learned to DJ by going to the club and watching the DJ. Looking at him, and I would go home and try to do that shit.
It's easier now with the computers and the things.
They got DJ schools now.
DJ school. Yeah. The school of DJing.
Yeah, go take a class.
Wow. Do you teach less? Are you Professor Muggs now?
Nah, yeah, I'll teach my homies if they want to learn, they can pull up and I'll take care of them.
There you go. Okay, so was cannabis always part of the marketing plan for Cypress Hill? Or is it just that you guys smoked a lot of weed and you were like, fuck it, we're putting it on everything?
Well, 783 was managed by Rush Management, which was Russell Simmons, who owned Def Jam. And I sat with Mr. Bill, who did the Public Enemy records and everything. And he was like, so you have a logo? And I was like, what was that? And then he told me, he was like, what's your concept? And I was like, what's a concept? And he said, you know, Run DMC's the gangsters of rap, Slick Rick's the storyteller, LL Cool J's the b-boy of hip hop. What's your concept? And, you know, 783 didn't have one. But I thought about it, so when I got back to Cyprus, I was like, yo, we gotta be the Cheech and Chongs of this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, come at it like weed's our shit, because we smoked. But everybody in weed at that time was talking about don't smoke weed. Like Dr. Dre was saying, I don't smoke weed or cess because it gives a brother brain damage.
Express
Brand
yourself.
Nubians was like, slow down. You know what I mean?
Right.
We was like, light this motherfucker up.
I remember that. I remember when y'all came out and everybody's like, man, these cats are, I mean, because, you know, a lot of musicians and a lot of performers, especially back in that time in the early 90s, late 80s, early mid 90s, they all smoke weed. Everybody smokes weed, but everybody was super hush-hush and very discreet, and you didn't let anybody know it was something you did, you know, but you guys were on stage with giant bongs and
yeah, we brought the 8-foot bong on stage.
Right.
You know what I mean? We was like, we was about it, man. And
got you kicked off of Saturday Night Live, did it?
yeah, we went on national television. We went on Saturday Night Live, and I was rolling my joint backstage, and about 8 people came backstage and seen me at, you know, about 5 minutes increments, and they was like, don't like that on stage, don't like that on stage, don't like that on stage. And I was like, no problem, I won't. I knew we had 2 songs.
But wasn't everybody smoking weed backstage?
No, you couldn't smoke weed backstage.
Oh, that was just the 70s?
That shit was...
Okay.
So I knew we had 2 songs, so I couldn't do it on the first song because we would have got kicked out. So I came on stage and I was like, New York City, can I light my joint? And I lit it. And they said the phone started ringing. And the phones was ringing. And when I got off stage, oh boy, they let me have it. They ripped into me. And I didn't give a fuck. We was punk rock.
Yeah.
Fuck it. You can't fire me.
Right?
And then I was like...
They can't even prove it was a joint.
They's like, you can't come back on Saturday Night Live again. I was like, fuck Saturday Night Live too. I don't want to come back on this motherfucker then. Y'all cornballs. And then, you know, here we are now. Now this shit's legal.
Right. And thanks to you. You guys helped a lot. First hip-hop group on High Times.
Yeah, we was the first hip-hop group on High Times, but not only that, it's like we...
I'm going to say this right quick too. When we saw you on High Times... that's when I learned to smoke blunts, because y'all were talking about it. I was like, we got to try this shit out, because in California, we didn't really have blunts.
Like in New York at the time, the weed wasn't that good, so motherfuckers in New York would smoke blunts to make the weed better, you know what I mean? Because we had the good weed in Cali, but the homies didn't really have a lot of good shit out there, so... You know, and at that time, I met Steve Bloom from High Times, and we started doing... we started raising money for NORML, the National Organization Reforming Marijuana Laws, and... We did over 20 events for them to raise money so they can fucking pay the lawyers to go to Congress, and they could lobby for the legalization of cannabis. So, you know, back in the early 90s, we was putting in the work to get us to where we all are today. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it didn't... it didn't. I guess it didn't keep y'all from getting too many gigs because I remember in the '90s, some people would talk about weed and the gatekeepers and the powers that be would be like, well, we're not really going to work with these guys because they talk about weed too much. But you guys were very Canna-centric, and it didn't seem to be a problem.
Well, the president.
But I mean, you sold records. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tommy Mottola, the CEO of Sony Music,
Yeah.
Donnie Iannett would let us smoke in the offices, and they was like, "Oh, Cypress Hill's in the building," because it smelled the whole fucking 34th floor up. But when I would get to Arizona, the cops would be waiting for us by the stage and like, "Don't smoke when you go on stage." When I get to New Mexico, the cops was on stage. When I get to Texas, the cops was right there waiting for us. And back then in Texas had a no tolerance law, so if you had one joint, you was doing a year in jail.
Yeah.
You know? So Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona was some other shit. New York and LA, you get a little weed, they'll either slap you on the ass, tell you to go home, or they'll take you in for the night just to put you in the system and spit you out the next day, you know what I mean? So we went through all that. We got locked up in LA a gang of times. We got locked up in New York for weed. You know, some of the other states, we fucking had to dip and dodge and run. You know, I remember before the EU was the EU, you know, you had to go through checkpoints every place, coming into France all the time on a tour bus. Them motherfuckers was on your bus, boy, like motherfuckers with the dogs looking for anything.
Wow.
I had Eric Bobo in my band one time get to passport control and open up his passport, and there was a piece of hash stuck to his fucking passport. He was like, oh, fuck.
I have a joke in my act about that. Like, never hide hash in your passport. It's the first place they look.
And there was always that little roach in the back of your pocket someplace that they would find. You know what I mean?
Always.
It was there for like a week.
Right. Even if you don't have weed
So
on
check
you,
your
probably
pockets
have weed
before
on
you get on the plane, you know, before you pack your luggage. That's all
I buy new luggage. I buy new luggage and new clothes. And I still find weed. Dude, I found a gram of dabs. I was on the plane like 2 years ago. I was on the plane flying to Barcelona, and I reached in my pocket for something, and I found like a gram of dabs and shit. And I was like, ah!
I think weed got a mind of its own. It's like, I'm gonna hide in this other pocket. He don't even know I'm here. Watch this shit.
Yeah, man. It's just, this is how it goes when you're when cannabis is a lifestyle and not a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So what else are you working on, man? So you do Soul Assassins. Is Cypress Hill doing anything?
Yeah. Cypress Hill is nonstop. You know, we do over 100 shows a year still.
Still?
Yeah, still make records.
That's every 3 days.
Own cannabis shops, sell weed.
Dr. Green Thumb, there's
Dr.
one
Green
near
Thumb,
my
my brother
house.
Be Real, yeah. We do a lot of behind the scenes things in cannabis, you know what I mean? Just still pushing the culture, you know what I mean? Our whole thing has been pushing the culture, being in doing the intangible things, you know, being behind the scenes, just still being a force to reckon with behind everything that we're pushing forward, you know what I mean? Because our new tour is called We Legalized It. You know what I mean? That's what the new tour is called.
Right. I mean, you were just talking about Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, and they've all legalized cannabis. And I got to tell you, it's much easier to hang out in Arizona when you can be high and bored. Yeah. And not just sober and bored. If you've never been to Arizona, trust me, it's hot and boring.
Yeah, they're all fucking, because all the motherfuckers is doing meth over there, sitting in the house in the air conditioner, you know, now you gotta smoke weed and be all right.
You'd be all right. Who's got the best weed? Besides California, we already know. Hey, shut up. I rep my hood.
California.
But let's talk about in Europe. Amsterdam, Spain.
Spain got some good shit, man.
Spain has
I mean,
some
I
good
smoked
shit.
some good shit out here. You know what I mean? Amsterdam's always had the bomb. Amsterdam's always been, you know, the spot. It was always the spot for us to come visit.
Sure.
Especially 91, 92, you know.
White Widow.
There was no place else you can go experience like the cannabis lounge culture.
Like grown-up cannabis culture.
Yeah,
where you
go
sit
sit
in a
down,
lounge and have
roll
a
your
coffee.
spliff,
Right.
have a coffee, just relax and sit back and, you know, and enjoy yourself. Like, that was a beautiful thing. Like, my first experiences of that in the early 90s is just visiting Amsterdam and being able to go to the coffee shops. And
Was it mind-blowing? Were you like, we got to bring this back to the States? Or
100%,
be
100%,
everywhere?
yeah. We tried opening up a couple coffee shops out there, and we got to the final stages of it, but, you know, the partnerships we was trying to hook up with people just never panned out at the end, but we tried early on to make it happen.
It can be
to be like,
rough.
you know, everybody went to the Bulldog back in the days, right?
Right,
We was
right.
like to have the Cypress Hill Cannabis, you know, cafe.
You had a spot in L.A.?
No, we got multiple spots under different names, but no, the consumption lounge that I have is my studio. Because I really
My house is
I really don't
consumption
want to
lounge.
go smoke weed with a bunch of strangers. I get creative when I smoke. So you come to my studio, we got a fucking gym in my studio, we got a theater room, we got studios. So everybody comes to my studio, we watch the games, we work, and that's my consumption lounge.
Nice. How much is a membership? Where do I sign up?
You just got to be the homie. Just pull up. Come on.
Just pull up.
We got
I'll call you, dog.
We
Next time
got
I'm in
we got
LA.
apartments in the back if you want to stay there. You know what I mean? It's like
Hey,
everything.
be careful what you say to me.
Come on, man.
Be careful what you say, because I'll come. I'll be. You need a roller? You need somebody to load bongs or whatever?
Absolutely.
I'll come in and
Come
do
on.
all that. I'll roll the blunts. I'll make sure that your edibles are all topped up. Do you cook? Do you make the edibles? Are you careful with edibles? Do you fuck with them?
I fuck with edibles.
Heavy.
I like edibles.
Are you on one right now?
No.
Okay. I might be a little bit.
I drank a
don't-
coffee though.
Weed and coffee.
I hadn't smoked yet, but I will after this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be higher than giraffe titties after this. So
What's a giraffe titty look like?
it's kind of high up. You got to look. I don't swing off them or nothing. How did we get to that? I don't even know how we got there. Who's the most famous person you ever smoked weed with?
Oh man, back in the day.
I got high with Tommy Chong once. I shook Willie Nelson's hand, but I never
Johnny
smoked weed with him.
Depp.
You say Johnny
Johnny
Depp?
Depp. We smoked weed with Johnny Depp before. Lindsay Lohan. Shit. What's Howard Stern?
Howard Stern. I didn't know he smoked weed.
Oh, yeah?
Who was the person you were most surprised? Like, I mean, I don't know if you're outing any celebrity.
I can't remember all the people, but everybody was like down low, like, yo, you got any weed?
Yeah, of course.
It was crazy. Everybody smoked weed. They just
Bill
didn't wanna
Clinton.
they just didn't want to let anybody know. Like it was a fucking bad thing to do back in the days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it wasn't a bad thing to do. It was just a bad thing for other people to know about. You just had to be discreet.
Yeah,
It was tough to be open. I mean, not for you guys.
Yeah, I think-
but it was because you went
Well,
to jail for it. You were threatened by the
after
cops.
the hippie culture, they put the clamp down on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They came and just wanted to just shut that shit down. So they did.
Yeah,
They
you
did
can't have
they did
any
a good job of it.
enlightenment or people being against war.
No, you don't want that.
No, you don't want that at all.
You don't want people to be free thinking and open and happy.
No, we
That'd
can't
be
have it.
fucked
That,
up.
that leads to people eating good and proper education
And getting
people being
along.
respectful and
Getting
getting
along,
along
having
and,
respect
and
for
having
each other.
love for their fellow man. That won't do.
Can't make no money off of people getting along.
Yeah, right. Where's the tension? That's not good television. It's got to have conflict. Can't have reality TV where everybody's in a good mood and
All
shit.
happy and shit. Giving each other hugs.
Right? Hugs. This week on reality TV, we're just gonna hug each other and smoke some weed, give some massages. Sorry, it was funny to me. So what were we talking about? Weed and
Definitely.
music.
Weed and music, they come together. Those are two things in this world that bring people together. You go to a concert, there's people at that concert that you would never hang out with ever in your life, and you're there together to
That's
enjoy.
how I felt at the
enjoy-
Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, to enjoy the same thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
weed, weed and music's brought me places and brought me to people and places that I never thought and imagined I'd be, and it brought me to people, and it's like definitely opened the shit the fuck up.
I mean, shit, here we are at a business conference in Barcelona. Did you imagine that?
Christ.
In 1989?
A
Did you
weed
think about
business
that in
conference.
1994? Right. Back when weed business was, let me get a dime. Yeah, okay. Right, let me get a,
When dimes were that big.
right. You could get a nickel bag for $4 if you knew that. A nickel bag would be
With a bunch of seeds
it was
and stems.
$5. Seeds. Do you remember seeds and stems? Are you that
Yeah,
old?
Junior high, man. You get the nickel bag, and it was about fucking that goddamn, like an eighth, but it was all fucking stems and seeds in there.
You have to scoop it up.
Pull that shit out.
Scoop it out on
There'd
the
be a
record.
seed, and you
Yeah,
smoking,
yeah.
the shit would be popping.
Right. The smell of a burning
Then
seed
the homies would be like,
will
yo,
stay
you
with
ain't gonna
forever.
be able to have babies if you smoking the seeds. So fuck it. I don't gotta get my nuts cut now. I could just smoke seeds in the motherfucking, I'll be good. I don't even gotta.
Sin semilla without seeds. Sin semilla. That's where it comes from, right? Well, you all speak Spanish. You know this. I think most of you speak Spanish. I don't know. How many people speak Spanish? Do you speak Spanish?
One,
Muggs, you speak any Spanish?
talk some shit.
You talk some shit. You can talk some shit. You can start a fight.
I know all the bad words.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
That's how you
That's
learn.
how I learned.
That's how you learn. What do you think the future of cannabis and music is?
I mean, you know, it's the field of infinite possibilities with cannabis. It's interesting. Everybody wanted it to go legal, and here you go. But once it goes legal, you get the government involved. You know what I mean? And they keep changing here's the target, and you shooting at the target, and then they move the motherfucker. And every time you think you got it in your sights, they're gonna keep moving it. You know what I mean? So that's the challenge y'all motherfuckers got to deal with if you want to be in the legal cannabis industry. It's a struggle. It's a battle. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Don't be a little bitch. Be ready. The strong will survive. The motherfuckers that are forward thinkers, that are smart, that are making the right connections, that are getting with the right people. And the motherfuckers that are just getting in here to get rich, you ain't gonna survive and get the fuck out of here, you know, because it will eat you up and chew you up and spit you the fuck out. And we've seen all those dudes by the wayside, all that roadkill, you know what I mean? So.
I mean, yeah.
But I'm loving that it's opening up, and you know, human beings that would have never smoked and never thought about smoking, they're smoking it and they're open to it, and it's just beautiful to just see it opening up globally. It's slow. It's going to take some more time. It's going to take a lot of more work, but we're on the right path, man.
We are. We are on the right path. What do you do about? I was talking to somebody earlier today about legalization and regulations and getting things in. And I mean, they're having problems in Barcelona right now. A bunch of the clubs were visited by the police last night. Nobody got shut down, but there were some inspections and things.
Yeah,
right, because they got a new mayor. The new mayor isn't as friendly toward cannabis.
And it ain't legal, but they're going to come shut you down for a night, grab your shit, you open up the next day, you bring it back in, and that's the fucking,
right.
That's the peekaboo game, hide and go seek, you know what I mean? So.
But I feel like there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that are just going to hate no matter what. Like, we can't expect science and common sense to win the day. If we did that, we wouldn't have racism. We wouldn't have cannabis prohibition if people just believed in science and common sense. So, but there's always going to be a small amount of people who just hate weed no matter what.
Motherfuckers, there's going to be a certain amount of people that just hate themselves no matter what.
So we need more love.
Always need more love.
Always need more love. That's good. It was a good.
Yeah, motherfuckers be bored, yo. Like, it's like
they be bored, so they just start hating.
Like where I live, you could park your car and all the work. Everybody who works at the restaurants parks their car, but there's a bunch of old ladies. They're bored, so they just went around doing a petition, so nobody could just park their car no more. They want a only 2-hour limit, or you get a ticket. Because they're just, motherfuckers is bored. And it's the same motherfuckers that are bored that got nothing to do, that don't want cannabis, you know, legal.
So we need more activities for old bored people.
Man, people are fucking weird, bro. I don't have.
You should set up a pickleball court.
You know, I will.
or get them to smoke some weed, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Old stoners are way cute anyway. Old stoners are way cuter than old drunks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, right? Grandpa's hitting the bong again is funny.
Yeah, they just had the wrong influences when they was young. They needed an older brother or sister to make them smoke weed.
How old were you when you first started smoking?
14.
Jesus. Do you think that was too early?
I mean, it just was. It was what it was. You know what I mean? It was just, we was there with the homies kicking it, and that's, you did it or you didn't kick it.
Do you have children?
Yeah, I got one.
Did you talk to them about cannabis? What did you say?
She just grew up seeing her dad smoking weed.
Right.
I didn't hide it.
No, I mean,
it's
you
just
can't hide it.
There's the magazine, there's her dad. She don't smoke, though.
Right? My kids didn't smoke till college. I was since they were little, because, right, you can't hide it. So I was like, no drugs till college. Get your shit together, handle your business, and then if you do that, then maybe you can do some drugs. And then now they're little stoners. They're in their 20s, and they keep hitting me up for weed.
They ate an edible one time. I think she said she found it on accident because the maid put it in with the chocolate. And I was like, man, it's 5 PM and they're still sleeping. What the fuck they doing in there? And then she got up and got all and started throwing up and shit. And I was like, you okay? And she's like, man, we ate that chocolate. And I was like, oh, fuck. She's like, please don't tell my mom. And I was like, I got you. Don't trip.
And you're like, yeah, you don't tell your mom either.
And then I think that was it. She's
trouble.
Cool. She ain't doing none of that. It's funny because my mom didn't smoke, and I was smoking as a kid. Now I smoke, and my daughter don't smoke.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rebellion. I always figured my kids weren't going to smoke. I'd be like, come smoke a joint with me. Like, no, I have to work at the stock market. What? No child of mine's going to have a job. You learned that from your mother. So you're DJing the party tonight.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a playlist planned, or was it all Barry Manilow, or what are you gonna?
It was. Anybody got any requests for tonight?
George Clinton, Soul Assassins. What was that? Willie Nelson. Afrobeat. You like the Afro beats?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Oh yeah. The soca,
Yep.
the bachata,
All that shit.
all that shit. You gonna do the Running Man?
No.
We'll get Alex. We'll get Alex to do the Running Man. He'll come out and pop and lock, do the Cabbage Patch. Can you Cabbage Patch too, Alex? Alex is gonna do the Cabbage Patch, bust out a couple freestyles. Hey, more bounce. Does anybody have questions? Do you want to take some questions? I don't even know. What time is it? How long have we been talking? Oh, okay. So we have like 10 minutes left. So that was perfect. So this is when we do questions. Does anyone have questions? Or do we cover it all? Because I can ask more questions. What's your favorite color?
Black.
If you were any sort of tree, what would you be?
Cannabis tree.
Male or female?
Male.
Nice.
Spreading my seeds.
Spreading your seeds. I'm glad you said it. I was going to say it, but I didn't know if it would be appropriate. Alex Ravitch.
Yeah, awesome, Muggs, to see you. A huge fan for a long time. Seen Cypress back in Toronto. My question is a bit specific. If I ever had a chance to meet you, I always wanted to ask you about the Soul Assassins album, which I love. It's such an epic album, like a whole story it tells, like from beginning to end. How come more people don't do that? It just seems such a great idea, but I haven't really seen that ever since, to tell the story from beginning to end, like kind of like a soap opera rap kind of thing. It was cool. Anyways.
Yeah, I think I got two parts to that. I don't know why anybody doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? But my thing was I just wanted something to be very cinematic, and I had like I think 12 different artists on there, and I was like, how can I make this feel like a cohesive piece of work, like, and bring it all together so it didn't sound like a compilation record or so it didn't sound like a mixtape. So you sat down, you felt like you was just listening to an album by one artist. So that's the reason I put it together like that. So when you sat down, you got the experience of just you're listening to one artist and not just a random ass compilation or soundtrack. You know what I mean?
I think the challenge on that sometimes too is in the digital age, people don't just put a record on or put a tape on and let it play all the way through
Put the
anymore.
CD in your car and it stays there for a year.
Right. But now it's, your playlist will skip around all sorts of things. So people think they make singles, right? They don't necessarily put together, a concept album like the Soul Assassins album or What's Going On from Marvin Gaye, or even that Styx album about Kilroy or whatever, where it's like a whole story. Everything is so, people don't really have the attention span like they used to, except for Alex the Stoner, who listens to whole albums all the way through and things like that. But yeah. There was another question over here?
Yeah, over here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. All right, Muggs. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Greg from DC. I just wanted to ask you, what artists have you enjoyed working with lately?
Lately, I really like this kid named Raz Freshco from Canada, Rome Streets from New York, Mayhem Loren, this kid named TF from Los Angeles, which I think our album's gonna be ridiculous right now. We got a bunch of songs together, and then I'm working with CeeLo Green right now.
Oh, no shit.
Half the album's done. The shit's amazing, man. So I'm having a good time right now finding these young artists that are really that I'm really inspired by, and help like giving them my platform and giving them a platform to go reach the world. You know what I mean? Because money isn't my motivation no more, and fame isn't my motivation. My motivation is just to keep expanding the kind of music I love to do, and keep it alive and keep it growing, and help these artists, reach their dreams and help their goals coming into fruition. You know what I mean?
You enter your OG uncle phase.
That's right where I'm at.
That's right. That's beautiful. And
And
let me ask you this.
It's fun as fuck.
We're talking about some of the new cats, but let me ask you, who were some of your influences, and not necessarily hip hop influences, but like musical influences when you were a younger cat?
I mean, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Bob Marley, Ram LZ, Run DMC, Larry Smith, who produced Houdini, Run DMC, Public Enemy, into
Enemy.
Picasso, Alejandro Jodorowsky, people like that.
Alejandro
Jodorowsky, he's a filmmaker from.
Oh, Jodorowsky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We were talking musicians. You said filmmaker.
Well, that's
kind
my
of
inspiration comes from every place. There isn't a lot of music these days that inspires me anymore. I find it outside of music, things that inspire me.
You know, I read a juggling book one time, and his advice to juggling performers was don't be inspired by other jugglers, be inspired by different artists, and then incorporate that into your juggling, right? So, like, my comedy show is definitely set up like a Grateful Dead concert. It's a weird thing, but I feel what you're saying. So, like Jodorowsky, any other non-musician influences on your music?
Picasso. You know, Picasso's in his prime in the 60s, you know what I mean? A lot of times musicians is like, he done in 30, it's like, now I'm not even in my prime yet, you know what I mean? We're just working it out, you know what I mean?
You don't see
You had Killer Mike, 48 years old, who won 3 fucking Grammys this year, you know what I mean? The producer of the year was in his 40s, the artist of the year was in his 40s, you know what I mean? So
y'all are giving me hope right now.
a lot of times the commercial music business is always looking for the new, young, hot thing. You know what I mean? The one good thing about the digital age, there's a lot of bad things, but the good things about it is I can go direct to my consumer around the world. I don't have to go through a gatekeeper, through a label, and through a publicist anymore. I could just touch the people at the fingertips. You know what I mean? And I got 7 billion people right there at my fingertips right now. So
DJ Muggs
I can speak
out here
directly
touching
to
people.
them. So it's definitely a benefit for the legacy artists in the music business.
That's beautiful. Was there another question?
Yes, please. During this day, we learned a lot, of course, and a couple of times it was mentioned that cannabis is science, but it came through this interview that cannabis is love. So I have a request. Can you play later your favorite love song for us?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
That was beautiful.
To the windows, to the walls.
From the window to the wall. That's a love song, isn't it? I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello. That Fetty Wap song is definitely a love song. I'm gonna introduce you to my stove. It's a very sweet love song about the trap game. Trust me. Listen to it. Listen to it. You'll hear it.
Hello, Mr. How come you in Medellin, Colombia?
I came 4 years ago with my friend Crime Apple.
Yes.
And we made an album there. I stayed for 2 weeks. We made a whole album in Medellin. We had a good time. I played a small show in a small club with only 100 people, but we didn't
It wasn't
announce
about that.
I just showed up. But I'm coming next time, right?
Yes. November.
You know, baby,
in
let's go.
Colombia.
I'm
Expo
gonna be there.
Medellin and Carnival Congress.
Take me with you.
Medellin, baby, let's do it.
Okay.
If you need someone
I
to
invite you.
carry your luggage or whatever, let me know.
Any more time for questions?
Oh, one more for me and Raspin, and then that'll do it.
He was first.
Okay. That guy, and then Ian, and then that's it.
All right, thank you. I had a question about, you mentioned earlier you like edibles. Now, between flower extracts and edibles, which ones you go to?
Flower.
Team flower.
And
me
do
get
you
a
have
pound
a
on that.
strain in particular?
Don't leave me hanging.
Or-
You're leaving me hanging.
Depends, man. You know what I mean? It just depends. It depends. I'll smoke sativas. I like outdoor sometimes when I'm in the studio, outdoor. If I'm watching a movie, I'll smoke something real heavy, like some OG Kush, you know what I mean? But
Okay.
I keep it light these days, man.
Now, are you one of the type of people?
I think there's 2 kinds of people that smoke weed. There's stoners, you know what I mean? And there's people who get high. And like a stone's like a rock. You're gonna get high, you're gonna sit on the fucking couch and you're gonna be stoned. When I smoke weed, I wanna go for a hike. I wanna read a book. I wanna make music. You know what I mean? I wanna go to the gym. So weed affects me like that.
Let me ask you.
Some people I know should never smoke weed because they smoke and they're just sitting there with their fucking tongue out. And they don't get shit done. Just like I got friends who drink and they wanna fight.
Yeah.
But I drink and just get happy and want to laugh. So you have to understand what your body chemistry is, you know, and what your goals are. So everything isn't for everybody. You know what I mean? That's why you need to master yourself and understand yourself when it comes to intaking anything, bro.
Now, I have some homies who always have a bunch of different kinds of weed. Like they have clean the house weed, they have sit on the couch weed, they have administrative tasks weed, they have
And I understand that.
get high and have sex weed, Netflix
That's my
and chill
favorite
weed.
one.
The Smoky Pokey is my favorite.
Can you play Dr. Green Thumb tonight?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
You want the English version or the Spanish version?
¿Cómo se dice green thumb en español? ¿Cómo verde? Verga verde. Dedo. Spell it. Oh, dedo verde. Gracias. Okay, one question for me, and then for real, we got to wrap it up. We're over time.
I heard that you recently released a wine. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that? And
yeah, I'm a big fan of natural wines. You know, I've always drank wine, but the first time I drank natural wines, I was, you know, a lot of times regular wines might make me tired or something, but I drank a natural wine and I realized they don't add sulfites to it. You know, it doesn't last a long time, but I drank a skin tone, where they leave the skin on it, so it was orange. And I never experienced that before, and I was like, damn, we drank 5 bottles, and I was with my friends having a great time. I wasn't tired, I didn't get a headache, and I go, I want to know more about this. So I got a few friends that are really into wine, so I was like, let's do a wine project. So the first one I did was called Holy Ghost. It was from an organic wine producer, like a 4th generation organic farm in Germany. It was a pet nut, brought it in, we did that one. And then I went up to Northern California the last few years with Brock Sellers, who's a big wine producer out there, who's got a winery, and we did one called Notes and Tones. And I did a jazz album along with the wine. So now I'm doing Notes and Tones too, which is another skin tone, orange wine. And I'm working on that now. So I do it for the lifestyle, for the fun, for the people I meet, the dinners and the travels and the conversation, you know what I mean? For me, it's something that I enjoy as a hobby. So, you know, I get to, like, my life is by design. Nothing in my life happens by accident. So if I can curate my life and what I enjoy to do and be around great people and have good dinners and drink fucking wine, that's what I do it for.
Yeah. Amen. Any last thing you want to say before we wrap it up? No? Fantastic.
Nah, man, I want to thank everybody for coming out, coming to ICBC, you know what I mean? Coming to Cannabis. Everybody here representing the good herb, you know what I mean? And bringing this shit to the forefront of the world. And, you know, let's take this shit where we want it to go. Shout out to Alex out here and Nicole for bringing me out here every year and being beautiful people, beautiful hosts. You know what I mean? I want to thank y'all motherfuckers for coming out. Make some noise for yourself. Thanks to this man. Make some noise for my man right here, yo.
All right. One more time. Make some noise. DJ Vlogs and Ngaio Bealum. We'll see you tonight at the after party in Berlin. We love you all. Barcelona. Big up.